y'all, Dixie here. Most hikers and backpackers know that there are breakable laws when you're out on trail, like trespassing on private property or indecent exposure and harming protected wildlife. But did you know that in the US there are some lesser known laws that in theory could get a hiker put in jail? So just so everybody's aware and doesn't get into a squirrely position, let's get into those. One example is Wyoming is home to the breathtaking Wind River Range and Grand Tetons, not to mention that the Continental Divide Trail runs through the state. If you're in Wyoming and you find that the trail you're on passes through a closed gate, just make sure you close that gate behind you. Leaving a gate open in the state of Wyoming, according to statute 6-9-202, is illegal. It's actually considered a misdemeanor that can result in a fine up to $750. I know most hikers have common courtesy, but hey, it's easy to make a mistake, so that's one you might want to try to avoid. If you find yourself hiking in the Ozark Mountains, make sure you know how to pronounce their home state correctly. State Code 1-4-105 states that if you were to pronounce the state Arkansas, that would be explicitly incorrect, and the only proper way to pronounce it is Arkansas. From what I understand, this was passed in 1888 to settle a dispute between two senators that were disagreeing on how to pronounce the name of the state. While there is no criminal penalty or fine in place, this does actually remain a violation of the state legal code, so better safe than sorry. Ew. Oh. Hey, are you ready to tell everybody Mommy's big secret? Okay. Just south of Wyoming and New Mexico, they take their horses and their equine friends very serious. In fact, under New Mexico statute section 30-18-11, it states that it's explicitly illegal to trip a horse or other equine type being with any kind of object, which would include your trekking poles. It's a misdemeanor with a maximum fine of $1,000 and up to 364 days in jail. Unless, of course, the tripping causes maiming or death, and then it's considered a 4th-degree felony. So if you run across a pony, just make sure you're careful of where you're putting those poles. The Washington woods can be quite magical and mysterious, so much so that it is illegal to harass Bigfoot or Sasquatch or any of the variations. In fact, in 1969, Skamania County passed an ordinance that says that you cannot slay or harm Bigfoot in any way. It was amended in 1984, but now the act is considered a misdemeanor, and the maximum punishment is 1 year in jail and up to $1,000 fine. Now, for any of you Appalachian Trail through hikers, section hikers, etc., if you find yourself backpacking in West Virginia, you best mind your manners, because it is illegal to use profanity in public in West Virginia. Now, it used to be finable by $1, but they kind of let that go and have now grouped it under one big disorderly conduct type thing. So if you're causing trouble and you're cursing a lot and an officer asks you to stop and you don't, then you can face punishment. In the state of North Carolina, if you happen upon a lovely, flat, grassy cemetery while you're backpacking and you think, you know, it's getting dark, it's getting late, and this would be a peaceful place to camp for the night, don't. It's explicitly illegal to camp in cemeteries in the state of North Carolina. If you're caught doing this in a public cemetery, it's considered a Class 3 misdemeanor, and the consequences are a fine of $50 to $500 and up to 30 days in jail. So I would say hike along and find you the next best flat spot. When exploring the backcountry of Alaska, if you come across a sleeping bear and you want to capture the moment, just make sure not to wake it up, because it's illegal to wake a sleeping bear for the purpose of taking a photo. Wildlife harassment in Alaska typically triggers Class A or B misdemeanor charges. So depending on the severity of the disturbance, this can come with a fine from $1,000 to up to $10,000. And as a misdemeanor offense, the judge has the right to put a person into jail for up to a year. And any objects or items used in this criminal activity, including your fancy camera, SD cards, tripods, etc., could be seized and permanently forfeited to the state. This next one I'm going to talk about is a little less silly, but it's good to know for people who are through hiking or section hiking the Appalachian Trail or other trails in New York and New Jersey. Pretty much in those states, it's illegal to hitchhike, period. Now, when you're through hiking, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do to not have to walk a lot of miles to town. And I would say, you know, when I was there, I just tried to shuttle if I could, or, you know, now there are Ubers and Lyfts and things like that. But if you're in an area without it, just keep in mind that it is illegal and do with that information what you will. And now that I have emphasized all the things that you may not do while you're backpacking, I do want to throw out a little nugget of a right that you actually have in the state of Vermont. Under Vermont's right to dry law, it is explicitly legal to hang clothes out to dry. And any municipality, town, city, etc., that tries to say that you can't, that's voided, because as a state, there is a right to dry law. So if you're trying to be hiker trash and you're in town and you wash your clothes and you want to hang them up to dry, or you're out on the trail, it is completely and explicitly legal to do so. So that is all I have for y'all today in the strange laws that I found in the US that could, in theory, actually affect hikers. If y'all have any weird laws that you know of in your state, I would love to hear about those in the comments below, especially if they could affect hikers. Thank y'all so much for watching, and we will see y'all next time.